I always mispronounce his husband. It's better than my husband still calls him Luann. He refuses, that's it, it's Luann. The next candidate is, I should mention, these are the Senate and Assembly is Legislative District 13. And I would like to introduce the person running for Assembly. That would be Boracchia.
Thank everybody for having us here tonight. My name is Steve Boracchia. I'm a pretty new resident in New Jersey. I've been here 7 years. I was in the Marine Corps, went to the Naval Academy, and entered the Marine Corps for 6.5 years, and I basically spent my time in the Southeast. A lot of concealed carry permits down there, as you know. After that, I went to the oil industry, went back to law school, and I'm actually licensed to practice law in New York and New Jersey. And one of the reasons I'm running for the Assembly is because back in 1775, when our founders were sitting around trying to figure out what our government was going to look like, they weren't trying to figure out how to take as much power as they can. They were trying to figure out how to limit this government and protect our individual rights as citizens. Since then, it's completely devolved. Now it's a study in opposites. Now what we really have, if you really look at it, we have representatives in Congress and the Senate who pass unconstitutional laws that are, quote, labeled affordable health care when in fact they're really unaffordable. We've got judges, and this is the one that really bugs me because the Constitution is what they call a counter-majoritarian document. It's supposed to protect your individual rights, limit government, and protect the rights of people who can't really speak for themselves, the weakest among us. Yet, they find rights that allow people to kill the unborn. The children and unborn who can't speak for themselves. You know, if they could speak, I'm sure they would say, I want to live. And then on the other end of the extreme, the other opposite that it really irks me, especially as a gun owner, is the fact that our Second Amendment doesn't apply. They'll read it in plain English, it's written right there for us, the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Shall not has a special meaning in the law. It means you don't ever do it. So you don't ever infringe. If somebody's mentally ill, that's maybe a different story. If somebody's a criminal, that's a different story. But our legislature didn't think like that. They passed 22 laws, not one of them had anything to do with somebody using a gun in a crime. Not one of them tried to extend a sentence for somebody who uses a gun in a crime. And they're only peripherally trying to look into mental health. New Jersey's one of the states that never reported mental health records. When I got my firearms ID card in Jersey City over 10 years ago, I was signing that document to allow them to look at my records. And the chief was laughing at me, and I was like, what are you laughing at? He goes, they don't even check. So you have to enforce the laws you have, and you've got to repeal some of these ridiculous laws you have because they're unconstitutional. And if you know, as Frank said, with the Heller case in McDonald, it's really notable in McDonald because that's the first time in our history that the Supreme Court actually said the Second Amendment applies to the states. Prior to that, New Jersey could have outlawed all guns in the state because the Second Amendment didn't really apply, you know, over a period of years. But you don't lose your First Amendment rights when you walk out the door. You're allowed to talk and say whatever you want. You don't lose your right to illegal search and seizure when you walk out the door. Your Fourth Amendment stays with you. And your Second Amendment should stay with you too, wherever you go. One of the things I want to do in the Assembly when I'm elected is I'm going to join with Leanne. I want to make New Jersey a shall-issue state. We don't need this BS about an excuse or a reason. Rights don't require a reason. They merely require a desire to exercise them. That's how I feel about all my rights. And so, you know, if you're in Legislative District 13, I'd really love to have your vote. If you're not, you need to go and tell your friends in your other districts, you got to vote in these primaries. Vote the most conservative candidates in, because they're the ones who are going to protect your rights. They're the ones that collectively, together, will be able to push this state over a little bit and get things on the right track. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.